All right, we are recording officially. So, um, you're also the guinea pig, so I don't know how this is going to work. So,
See now, why do you have to go and hit me on my nationality? Actually, not my nationality, my heritage.
the guinea. I'm sorry, I'm a racist for that.
Yes,
I'm a racist. Throw me in the paddy wagon if you would.
yes, you're a bad
Yeah,
man.
so earlier today, you were at Pride.
I did not go to Pride.
You did not go to Pride.
No, I very rarely go to Pride.
Okay, all
I'm a
right.
little old for that.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure if you were actually in it, if you were doing something on the
My
parade, or
my baseball league has a tent there, and last year when I was actually in a relationship, we went together. But I'm single now, so it's no fun.
all right. All right. Your baseball team is strictly
No,
no. Anybody can
no,
join.
it's the
Okay.
baseball. It's the league, not the team. It's the whole league.
Okay.
And I'd say it's probably 60, like maybe even 65-35 straight to lesbian.
Okay. So okay. All
So
right.
it's a mixed bag.
So it's a women's league.
It is a women's league.
Sexist. I can't. Jeez, I don't even know
You
what.
want to come play with us, Red? You're all
Are you saying I throw like a girl? Is that what you're saying?
that's what you're like yeah. No, actually there's very few girls that throw like girls in that league, so
Yeah, I can imagine. I've seen a few that scare me. So, um, yeah, I just actually found out about Pride. Apparently, it's a pretty big thing every year, and well, I mean,
yes, it's a big thing every year.
well, yeah, there. Well, I didn't know it was national. I thought it was city by city,
Um
but apparently
it,
it's national. Or
Well, I've always thought no. The pride parades are there's a Pride Day,
mhm.
and then there are Pride parades in each city, and they don't all necessarily fall on the same day.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, because
I look forward to a day when nobody has to have Pride. We can just be.
okay. Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. So, all right. Here's some stupid questions for you as far as terminology goes. Gay and lesbian, are they the same or are they gender specific?
From well, I mean, that's a question for me. I have called myself gay. I have called myself lesbian, but in the media, I think they use the term gay for males
Hmm.
and the term lesbian for females.
Okay.
To me, gay and lesbian is interchangeable. There's just not another word. There's not another nice word for homosexual males.
Right. Okay.
So I think that's why gay is kind of more geared towards males. But I've had people, ask me, and I've said I'm gay. Um, I don't know. Lesbian seems to have a negative connotation for me, and I can't tell you why that is.
Hmm.
But
What about there's a lot of the other less than binary, or I should say more than binary. How does that work? Um, Out there, that they'll use the word for themselves, queer. I don't know if
there
that
are some.
is that.
I think that kind of comes along like when I'm in and around my female friends, my female gay friends, we will like when we're joking about something, we will use the word dyke, and I think that plays upon the same situation as African Americans using the N word.
But yet you're okay with saying dyke, but not nigger.
Yeah, no, because I'm not a black person. I don't think I should be saying that word,
Okay.
but
Okay.
but for me, like, and I'm only speaking in terms of guessing that this is what African Americans feel. The reason why they use that term so frequently amongst themselves is it kind of takes the sting out of it. It's kind of taking the word back and making it your own, and then people can't use it so harshly against you.
Right.
It doesn't hurt as much when someone says it to you. It's kind of hard to explain, but I think that's sort of the.
Well, could it also go to intent?
It absolutely goes to
So
intent. I have friends, like a good friend of mine, Dave. We'll joke around like that, and he'll be like, "Oh, you're just a big dyke," or whatever, and I'll laugh because I know there's no malice behind him saying it.
right.
Yeah, intent is everything.
Okay.
Although I had someone that you and I worked with, where I was just I won't mention her name, but I know even mentioning, you know who it was. I used the N word, but in a sentence that somebody else had said.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a quote.
Right.
And she didn't say anything to me at that time, but later on when we got in an argument, boy, she threw it in my face.
Yeah.
I can't believe you had the audacity to use that word in front of me. I'm like, dude, I wasn't calling you it. I was just using it in a sentence in context.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on who you're talking to.
Well, that and maybe someone who's trying to be offended, looking for any little thing to be offended to hold over you. Possibly.
Probably more than possibly, probably dead on.
Well, I'm just going by that, the conversations that we've had at work, that we still have at work, some of the conversations we have at the firehouse, everybody's buddy, chummy, dropping all sorts of what in any other situation would be considered an insulting manner. But again, your buddy, your buddy's a fucking asshole, right? So you call him your friend, that is different than calling a complete stranger. So it all goes to intent. It all goes to your circle of friends.
Right. It's in the context of the conversation. If you're joking around and you're busting balls and you say that, then it's no big deal. If you're in a heated argument and you say that, maybe the person takes it a little bit differently. I had a recent situation where I just lost a friend of 43 years over Facebook. All because I told him, I said, kiss my ass, and he took that very, very personally.
Okay.
And so then he got very, very personal with me. He was downright mean. And I'd say about 40 of my friends jumped all over him. Mm. And he doesn't see where he was wrong. He thinks me saying kiss my ass. And there's not a lot. I'm not giving you a lot of background. I guess my point is that intent is everything. Mm-hmm. But it also comes down to how the other person is perceiving your intent.
Okay. So outside of the language issue, a lot of, I guess what they would call the social justice warriors out there that have a lot of the different lingo, it goes back to the quote unquote binary sexes. I hate saying it, but again, they use a lot of times they'll use the word queer or gay for specific men, lesbian, things of that nature. When they use it in the social context, as if they're trying to help the LGBT community. is that right? LGBT community?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody seems to be right behind them, but if someone from outside of the community says something like that, is that not for us to say? And
well, you know what? You can say whatever you want. It's a free country. It's the same argument. Oh, it's freedom of speech. Yeah, freedom of speech. You have the right to say anything you want, but you also have to deal with the backlash of what you say. And it comes back to the same. I'm not equating the word queer with the word nigger. I'm not equating those two words. One denotes centuries of repression. The other one is kind of interchangeable. If somebody was to call me a queer, I think I'd probably laugh at them. I personally don't like the term. I just don't like it. It's stupid, but it goes with any group. I mean, you can. There are Christians that get offended at the littlest thing. You can't say anything against Christianity without them like, oh, there's a war on Christmas, and so every group has their stereotype or their stigma of what word they don't want to be called. I think.
Well, I don't know. I've been called pretty much everything in the book, and
but you're unoffendable.
I don't have a soul, apparently.
No, I didn't say that. I just don't. I don't see you as letting too much name calling affect you.
No.
But this is probably a judgment on my part. You probably
Shouldn't
didn't
judge.
I know. At least I admit it.
There you go.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you grew up in a situation. Well, how do I say this without it being insulting? I don't mean it to be insulting.
If you can't, I don't take it as an insult.
Okay.
I've worked with you long enough.
I just think growing up black in this country is a lot harder than growing up white.
Okay, is growing up black in this country any harder, or is it any more difficult than growing up gay or lesbian?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more difficult than growing up gay.
Well, it's very different, but
Well, it's too different. There's repression in both areas. But I could hide if I really wanted to. I could hide my gayness, right? I did for 25 years. I wore long hair. I wore makeup. Actually, I didn't wear a lot of makeup, but every now and then I would wear makeup. I would dress the part of a female, and I dated men. And nobody, even though people made the assumption that I was gay, and whenever I got in a fight with one of my friends, that would be the first thing they would say to me. I could hide it. You know what I mean? But when you're black, you can't hide it. You're black. There's like no saying, well, today I'm going to go out and pretend I'm whitey. There's no. So in that regard, I think it's hard. In some ways, African Americans have it easier because no African American's family ever disowned them for being black.
You mean I'm going to stay this color?
You're going to stay that color. But a lot of gay people get disowned by their family for being gay.
Right.
So, each has its trials and tribulations.
Right. Yeah, you can't. I like that point. You can't really hide being black. Well, depending on if you're light skinned enough, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, they had the terminology. Oh, you're passing, and the light skinned blacks would straighten their hair, and they'd be like, "You're passing." But
yeah, that's
for the most part.
Yeah. So each their own. I was just thinking about the NAACP president.
Oh, the German girl there or whatever.
Yeah, the white girl who was applying for some kind of government related paperwork, and she put down.
Yeah, and it turns out she's Czechoslovakian, black. She's Czechoslovakian, German, and I don't know, Lithuanian or something like that.
Yeah.
My friend's friend said she's whiter, and whitest.
Wonder bread and mayonnaise. Okay.
But, I think she is adopted by a black family. So, in fairness, I'm not saying that she should get a free handout or anything. I don't think anybody should necessarily get a free handout. But she may culturally relate to the African American experience if she's raised by African Americans.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But that's more of a cultural thing than a racial thing, and
absolutely.
And the paperwork was strictly about race.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she may identify that way, but yeah, the paperwork is, excuse the term, black and white. It's.
See, now you're getting a little PC. Can't believe you.
No. I was just a pun.
So I was watching the news the other day, and one of the candidates was asked the difference between civil rights and gay rights, and he said it was completely different. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out what the definition of civil rights are and how they differ at all from gay rights. Can you think of anything? I mean, the struggle definitely was different.
In my opinion, they're the same. It's the same fight for different reasons. We have the right to vote. We do not have the right to be married. People may argue that being married is not a right; it's a privilege
or a sentence.
Or sentence. Yeah, I'd still like to be given the opportunity to take that sentence.
Okay.
If that opportunity was if I met someone,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I have heard there was an African American clergy member back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and I remember him being interviewed and him saying, please don't compare the trials and tribulations that the African American people went through in the civil rights movement to what gays are going through, because gays choose to be gay. And I wanted to punch him right in the nuts.
So you're saying it's not a choice?
It's not a choice, and here's two arguments. First of all, why would I choose that?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I choose to be fired? And by the way, I was fired for being gay at one point. Beaten up, called names, denied rights. Second of all, when did you choose to be straight? Like, did you sit in a room and say, oh, okay, well, let's compare the two sexualities, and you know what? I think I want to go with the straight one. It's just so ridiculous, and it's just and I think overall people are coming around to the fact that it's not a choice,
right?
And
well,
they will
and to be fair, I don't think there's anybody out there who doesn't have like having their ass tickled a little bit. Just a
Well,
little
that's a whole different
Did I just
ball of
okay?
ball of wax.
All right.
What's that old joke? You go up to a really pretty girl and you say, "Tickle your ass with a feather," and when she goes, "What?" you go, "We're having particularly nasty weather."
Depending on what she says.
Right.
All right, gotcha. Can I use that one? I'm gonna write that
Sure.
one down.
Yeah, take it.
So, when did you come to the realization
that I was gay?
Yeah.
I can't tell you that I came to a realization of the sexual aspect of it, but I can tell you that my first memory as a child was being very, very upset that I wasn't a boy.
Okay.
And that I can go back to second grade, which is what, the age of 6 or 7, and tell you every girl I ever had a crush on. And I will not tell you any male that I ever had a crush on, because it's not that I didn't have male friends. I did, but I didn't feel those feelings. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't want to show off for them or impress them or hang out with them, make them laugh like I wanted with the girls. So I always knew that I wanted to be a little boy, that I didn't want to be a little girl. I don't think the sexual aspect, and unfortunately, for reasons I won't get into here, I was introduced to sex at a pretty young age. I wasn't molested or anything like that, but it was just a lot of material in my house. So at a young age, I saw. Mm-hmm. So I understood what sex was. So I'd say probably by the age of 8 or 9, I knew that I wanted to be with girls.
Okay. But yet you said earlier that you'd had boyfriends. Was you trying? Was that?
I had boyfriends because that's what I was expected to do in Boston, Massachusetts in the 80s.
Well, okay. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, in Boston,
so
that's a...
I will tell you this, and maybe this will shed some light. I've never had a sexual encounter with a male that I wasn't completely drunk, and I've never had a sexual encounter with a female where I was drunk at all.
My wife says that. I don't know. It's just, I don't know what that is.
I'm concerned. Right. That concerns me.
I know. The liquor bill is just sky high. I don't know.
Whatever works, bro.
Yeah. I better not say any more, because you got the social justice warriors out there that say if 2 adults are drunk, then the male is guilty of rape. But
those are. I think that people like that they're just so, they're every group, whether you're right wing or left wing or whatever you are, there's fringe elements. Mm-hmm. There's the tinfoil hat wearing idiots, and those people that are that far out there to the left aren't worth anyone's time any more than the people that are that far out there on the right. It's the people in the middle that meet in the middle that will solve problems.
Right. It just seems like there's nobody in the middle that's in leadership. They're all...
No, there is nobody in the middle that's in leadership. You're correct. And there is nobody forthcoming.
Yeah. Well, not anytime soon anyway.
But I do find the more conversations like I see on Facebook and social media that more people are now saying, I'm sick of the left and the right. So people are getting more centric. Mm-hmm. You'll still see the arguments out there where, somebody's calling somebody a Republican and somebody's calling the other guy a libtard. It's like, really, dude? Come on. As soon as I see those words start flying around, I'm like, okay, I'm out of this conversation because it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, because as soon as those terms come out, nothing's going to be resolved. It's just going to be
right.
It's just going to devolve into name calling.
Right, and it's sort of like as soon as somebody is compared to Hitler or Nazi Germany, the conversation's over. Like there's really nothing further to say on either side of the conversation.
Yeah. Do you know who else liked spaghetti? Okay, Hitler liked spaghetti. Hitler liked spaghetti. Growing up in Boston in the 80s, aside from Bucky fucking Dent.
Why would you bring that up?
Because I know you're a Boston fan, and I just like...
I remember where I was watching that freaking game, man. I just wanted to... I remember where I was watching that game, and I remember where I was when the ball rolled through Bill Buckner's legs.
So, growing up in Boston, were you at all... Was your family, not necessarily you... Because I know how that is. When you're growing up, you do whatever your family does. Were your family religious at all?
I was raised Catholic.
I'm sorry.
Right. Italian-Irish, right? So my father's side's Sicilian, my mother's side's Irish. My mother's mother was devout Catholic. She went to church every Sunday. No one ever shoved it down my throat. When my dad my dad left when I was about 11, and before he left, I went to CCD class. I made my first communion. And then after my dad left, there was never any further discussion about religion. And it wasn't like, they were like superstitious Catholics. My mother's side was pretty devout, but my father's side was more like, like, I don't know if you've seen like The Godfather, and they're walking, they have the feast, and they're walking down the street holding the Virgin Mary, and they're all, all the Italian widows are dressed in black, and that's how my father's side of the family was. But there was never any, conversation. I don't remember ever having any deep religious conversations, so I was never a very religious person.
Okay. And how do you feel about religion?
I hate religion.
Okay.
And I've recently come to hate it more because the girl that I've been with for the last year decided to leave me because I don't believe in God. So I'm really
now is that because of of religion, or is that because of faith?
I think because I know plenty of people I know plenty of people of faith who don't judge. I think people that are created into being judgmental people are done via the being constantly bombarded by religious just paranoia. And she is when she first tried to come out to her parents, they sent her to reparative therapy.
Is that
right?
Is that when they send you to an island or a camp?
They send you to a therapist that's trying to convince you that being gay is a sick mental illness.
Okay. Is this back in the 70s, 80s?
No, this girl is very young. This was only 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right? So this is the family that she's dealing with that are telling her that being gay is a sin, being gay is a sin, being gay is a sin. And, then she has the aspect of she very much enjoys my company, and we had a great relationship, which is why when she ended it, I was like, well, what the hell? I don't even know what happened. And she finally told me it's because I don't believe in God, and she can't be with someone who doesn't believe in God.
Was she religious at all?
I knew that she was religious to the degree that, like, she believed in God. I didn't know she was as devout as she did not let on that she was that devout. So
okay, all right.
So, anyways, not to get into all of that, but so that just makes me hate religion just a little bit more.
Yeah,
I have no problem with people of faith. Whatever gets you through the day, whatever makes your life easier to live. If believing in something makes life a little bit easier for you, then hell, so there's times in my life that I wish I had faith. I wish I had faith right now, to get me through a difficult time, but I don't. And I can't make myself believe something that I don't. So it's when they use it to hurt me that I have a problem with it.
Yeah. So there was that a learned process that you the way you feel about religion, or is that was it a gradual thing, or was there a particular instance? I
think, I don't know if I can answer that question with a definitive answer. I can't say, oh, well, in January of 1995, I decided I hated,
Right.
So I'd have to say, if I had to answer that question as honestly as I could, I'd say a gradual wearing down, and just seeing religion being used as a tool to hurt people like me.
Right.
And others, the abortion issue, the gay rights issue, it's all comes down to religion. The wars, although most wars are fought for money, but they use the auspice of religion. I don't doubt for a minute that ISIS is fighting for religious reasons, but the reason why ISIS exists is not necessarily because of religion. But I just see a lot of ills in the world. The main problem causing most of the ills is religion.
Right. No,
I mean, money too, but religion for sure.
Okay. Here's an odd question for you. Do you know any gay or lesbian people that are anti-abortion?
That are pro-life? That are pro-life.
Yeah. They'll go out there and picket or what have you.
I don't know any that picket, but I do know a few that.
It's one thing if you have personal views. It's another thing though if they.
No, I don't know anybody that. I know people on the right that I'm friends with that go out and picket pro-life. All of whom, well, one of which I would say, if I had to venture a guess, is the most closeted person I've ever met. But that's a whole different issue. But I don't know anybody like me. None of my circle of friends, all of my circle of friends are pro-choice.
Okay. Well, just so you know, you are, as far as this podcast goes, you are speaking for all of gaydom.
That's a lot of pressure, dude. Gaydom. Gaydom. Is that? Oh, did you just coin a phrase?
I did. You can use that. I want a nickel every time you use it, though. No, I have a friend of mine. He was in my wedding, actually. Well, I guess we met 18, 20, something like that. And same religion, only his family. He was in the closet, but he was in a glass closet. And he finally came out about 10 years ago, and his family disowned him. So I know how religion affects people's lives, because he was afraid. I mean, he was trying to shove himself into a box that he just wasn't going to fit into. Yeah,
and a lot of people kill themselves over it.
Yep.
And I've seen that, and that's why I worry about Maria. My ex name is Maria. Is I know she's struggling with it, and I know she's gay. This girl is gay. There's no two ways about it. You don't have a year-long relationship with someone the way we did, and you're not gay. But she actually said to me, she goes, I guess I'll just live my rest of my life alone. And that made me really, really sad, because it's no way to live. And I don't understand these people. That's your child. Why would you want to force something upon your child that I don't know. I'll never understand people that, I don't think that's unconditional love. And I think you're supposed to have unconditional love for your children.
Absolutely.
You didn't have your children, like if I had kids and they didn't want to play hockey, if they wanted to be ballerinas, I might be disappointed about that because I don't want to go watch ballet, but I'm going to support them 100%. Not that, being ballet and being gay are the same thing. I'm just, making a point that you should support your child in whatever it is. And it's getting better. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at, was it Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith, they have a Jaden, who I think is born male but identifies as female, and all her life they have let her dress as a girl and act like a girl. And you know what? Maybe I don't know I don't know how the person is referring to themselves at this point. So she may identify later differently. I mean, it runs the gamut. It runs the gamut. Some little girls are tomboys when they're little and they grow up to be gay, and some little girls are tomboys when they're little and they grow up to be straight. So you can't judge, but to let the kid work it out healthily. Mm-hmm. Is that a word?
Healthily?
Yeah.
If it wasn't before, it is now.
Yeah, that and gaydom.
Hey, you know how many points that'll get you on Scrabble? Okay.
I think that's the way to go. Like, let the kid figure it out on their own without. I mean, my parents were brutal to me. My father used to introduce me as his son, Steve. I was a little kid. He would take me out and, this is my son, Steve. And people would be like looking at me and like, it was very embarrassing. And I know he meant it as a joke. I don't think he really realized, but it was brutal. It was just a brutal way to grow up and pretending to be something that you weren't. And, and I have a friend of mine, she's pushing me to go and get the sex change. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to do it. And she's like, why not? I'm like, because I'm 50 years old and it's not really viable female to male. And it's just lots of reasons. And most of them just end up looking like big fat dykes and don't really look male. And, right. I don't want to go through it. I'm not at that age, but,
so
and I don't.
Is there a difference between being gay and psychologically other than what, the sex other than what you are?
You mean transgendered?
Yeah.
Yeah. One is you're fine being a female and you just want to be with other females. Like I was talking to my friend Gabi about this last night, and I'm like, we were talking about, the whole sex change thing. And she said, I grew up as a tomboy, but she goes, I never wanted to be a boy. She said, I'm strictly a lesbian. Whereas grew up wanting to be a boy. Mm-hmm. I'm just in the wrong body.
Okay.
There's so it is different. And what confuses me, and I'm a, gay, transgendered, whatever, you want to call me, is people like Caitlyn Jenner. And I don't know how true this is, but supposedly she now wants to still be sexual with women. Now, I don't know if that's just a rumor or if that's what's going on, but I've heard that a lot. I know a lot of transsexuals, male to female, who still remain sexually active with females, which I don't get. I'm gay and I don't get it. It's like, no, the whole point is to be with chicks, like, I don't know. But sexuality is a very complicated thing.
Yeah, Absolutely.
Which is why the Bible has no business talking about it.
Well, the the issue there is Old Testament versus New Testament. You know, the religious people, they want to pick and choose. You know, if we're still following the Old Testament, then we're going to have to take all the gays out and stone them to death. But nobody wants to actually come out and say that. Well,
some people do.
Yeah,
the Westboro Baptist Church does.
Well, yeah, Westboro. Well, I'm surprised. There are just a bunch of lawyers trying to sue people.
They do.
Anyway,
I think they do it more to get money. But
yeah. So
my feeling about the Bible. I saw a meme. Is it meme or meme?
Meme.
Okay, meme, and it said, if the Bible got something as wrong as simple as race relations wrong, how could it possibly get something as complicated as sexuality right? I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can go on and on about the Bible. I think we're going to have to save that for another show.
Yeah, I don't like the book. I think it's more of a problem than faith.
Oh, absolutely.
I have no problem with people who believe in a higher power and God. I don't believe that God had anything to do with the Bible. If there is a God, like Jesus Christ had nothing to do with the writing. Like, I actually am a fan of Jesus. I think that he was a wonderful person with wonderful dreams and aspirations. And
he was a great carpenter.
Excuse me?
He was a great carpenter.
He was a great carpenter. He was a Jew. And I would be more apt to listen to his Sermon on the Mount, which are actually his words.
Yeah.
And nowhere in the Sermon on the Mount does it make any mention of hating gays. It just talks about taking care of the poor and the weak and the ill and stuff like that. He had a totally different message than what was in the Bible, and that's where
absolutely, and that's where people they cherry pick what they want to believe,
right?
You know, and that's basically where religion comes in and puts their dogma and their rules, and if you don't follow this, you're going to hell because God loves you. So
yeah. Right. Wait, that's what I think George Carlin said that.
Yeah, that was definitely a George Carlin thing. So I'll send George Carlin a nickel for using his bit.
He's dead.
Okay, don't get technical. Growing up, you knew you were gay, but you were trying to fit in with everybody else. You joined the Air Force, is that right?
I did.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you said you joined the military. Come on.
See, now, everything was fine until you had to bust balls. I saw something the other day. Somebody said something about the Air Force wearing diapers. And I'm like, that's because we're the only ones that get to go into outer space. So,
well, it's either that or Manny, but I can't really...
Did you see those two guys about a month and a half ago that got, not the Medal of Honor. They got something because two Air Force guys that fought their way out from behind enemy lines.
No, when was this?
Yeah, two Air Force guys in Iraq.
Really?
Afghanistan.
Didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, of course not, because it's the Air Force.
Chair Force.
Yeah.
What did you do in the Air Force?
I was in meteorology.
Okay.
But I was actually assigned. I was attached to the 1st Yankee Division, so I was with the Army. I was basically in the Army.
How long were you in the military for?
6 years.
6? You just did your 6 and got out?
But it was National Guard.
Okay. Were there any issues being gay in there, in the military?
I wasn't gay. I wasn't out.
Okay. All right.
I didn't come out till I got sober at the age of 25. Because if I'd have kept trying to hide it, I would have drank myself. I was drinking myself to death, trying to hide it.
Good old-fashioned Boston Mick.
Yeah, don't count Sicilian out on that either.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what you drink, right? If you're Sicilian, it's nothing but wine.
It was Jack Daniels, so you decide.
You're definitely Mick. Definitely.
Yeah, that's my Mick side. Yeah, it wasn't anisette.
Right. Now, were there any? Did you notice any other folks in the closet with your time in there?
I noticed folks in the closet every day of my life.
Okay, but back then, did you know that? Did you put the fact that they were in the closet and the fact that you were in the closet together?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
The only thing I didn't know then, that I didn't learn until a little bit later, was that there were I, first of all, had no idea how attractive I was at the time. And I don't know if you've seen pictures of me when I was younger, but I was extremely attractive. And I didn't know it. I really, really thought I was ugly. And so therefore, the people that I saw that were lesbian were the ugly ones, for lack of a better term. until I came out, until I started playing baseball, and the two girls who drafted me were lesbians and extremely attractive. And I was like, wait a minute. You mean there's pretty lesbians? Like I just thought pretty girls were straight and ugly. My mind was twisted. And so I started playing baseball with them, and they actually were the ones I ended up coming out to.
Okay.
Because I got to see that, oh my God, and they're still together. They've been together for 20, 25 years now.
Nice.
Maybe even more. But I'm like, oh, so they're pretty girls. They have a healthy relationship. Women can have a healthy relationship. And I started to learn that it wasn't this dirty, dark, backroom, disgusting thing that people did. And was, because I actually thought I was sick. I hated myself for being that way.
You thought it was a mental illness?
Yeah, I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought that I was. I knew I wasn't the only one, but I thought that there was no like normal people that were gay. It's kind of hard to explain. There's a self-loathing that comes along with it.
Self-loathing because you're gay, or self-loathing because of what society expects of you, or what you think society expects of you?
Maybe a little bit of both, but I was definitely pissed off that I was the way that I was. Oh, okay. And that I couldn't change it. And I actually remember having a conversation with myself saying, I can be with men. I'll just stay drunk for the rest of my life.
Wow. Well, to some degree, I understand what you're coming from, because I don't even like looking at myself naked. That's just, I got to turn the light.
I've always thought you were adorable.
Well, yeah.
You're like a huggy bear.
Well, yeah. Hello. and I am a hypocrite because, I actually hope all the good-looking women are lesbians. Again, that's just the pig side of me.
You hope that they are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Because I'm a pig. That's just the way it...
Guys... You just want to see the women together, you mean? Or...
Well, okay, sure.
Because you don't want them all to be... Well, I guess you have a wife, so you don't care what the other women...
Yeah, well, actually, I was reading something... about porn the other day on, I think it was Gawker, how the vast majority of even straight women prefer lesbian porn.
I prefer gay porn.
Right. Okay. All right. See, there you go.
Because the lesbian porn
it's not real.
Is fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very rarely what we do.
Yeah. Well, actually, there was a show I just started watching on Netflix called Sense8. Mm-hmm. And it's done by the Wachowski brothers. So
okay.
I don't know if you know the Wachowski brothers. One of them is, I think he's transgender or in the process. But they're geniuses. And the only part about this show that is not graphic is the violence.
Oh, really?
And there's so much, and again, I don't know how much of the lesbian sex is real or not. It's certainly not what the normal.
Well, when I'm usually in movies, they get it pretty right. But like the porn that I'm talking about is where you see the girls and they're still in bed with their high heels on, or they have really long nails. I'm like, dude.
No. I don't do the long nails, but the high heels. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. But I've never been, and I've been with some very feminine women, and none of them have ever worn their high heels to bed.
Well, I've actually asked my wife to wear. No. Keep
because
going.
That's a guy. But I understand. But that's a guy thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which you think I would be into because I'm such a guy, but I'm not.
Well, it just means you're not.
I understand. I can look at it and say, okay, I see why guys like that. But for me, I'm just more vanilla. But I laugh at the fake lesbian porn. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it's definitely guy oriented. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I prefer like if I'm watching porn, and I don't watch it that often, but it's got to be like oral sex.
Okay.
I could care less about anything else.
Okay. Well, yeah, there wasn't any in the show. There's not any actual close-ups. You don't see necessarily any penetration, but there's definitely graphic scenes.
What's the name of it? Sense8?
Sense8, like the number 8.
Check it out. I have Netflix, so.
Yeah. There's a couple in there. They're going to Pride and they're doing this, a bunch of different stuff and going through their family issues. But it's, do you remember that movie Cloud Atlas? Did you ever see that Halle Berry and Tom Hanks?
No.
It's a little similar to that. You still living outside DC? You still have your guns?
I do.
Yeah,
I have. I just bought a Smith & Wesson 22. Was a 1911.
Oh, okay.
For target practice because I was having a hard time with the 9mm. It just gives too much of a kick that I can't seem to get anywhere with it. So I wanted to practice with the 22.
What kind of what brand of the 9mm?
The brand it's a It's that cheap freaking one. What the hell's the name of it?
Caltech.
No, not that cheap. No, it's right on the tip of my. Not a Ruger, not a Taurus.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got a revolver from Taurus. I'm not too happy with.
Yeah, I'm not happy with this gun. It jams a lot. One guy said he thought it was jamming because I wasn't using powerful enough ammo. So I'm gonna try something a little stronger. It just keeps the. It doesn't eject the shell, the casing.
Okay.
And it jams.
Right.
And that's not fun.
No. I would make a suggestion. I've pretty much my 9mm. I've pretty much standardized on the M&Ps, Smith & Wesson. For me, the kick isn't nearly as hard as say like a Glock. I haven't had any problems with it. It has jammed, but on ammo that I've had pressed or bought from somebody else.
Right.
It hasn't jammed on any factory loads, anything like that.
I'm sorry. What brand is that?
That was Smith & Wesson M&P. Comes in 9mm. I've got an M&P 10, which is a 308. But yeah, if you want to, we're going out. Went out a couple weeks ago. I don't know if we're going next weekend or definitely doing something in August. If you want to come on out to the range out here.
Yeah, let me know. I'll bring the 22 and work. I'll bring the 9 too, so you can take a look at it and see if it's just me that's having a problem with it, or the guy that I took my concealed carry class with. He shot it too, and he had a problem with it. So, but he was an older guy. I felt like his arm strength wasn't very strong. So, the gun just may be a piece of shit.
No, that's definitely possible. I still keep my Taurus around though, just if only for show and.
Well, it's in my bedside table loaded. I figured if somebody comes in, I can at least, if someone's 10 feet from me, hopefully I can hit them with.
Well, yeah, you still have the pit bulls?
Yeah, I had to get rid of Tuca.
Why's that?
He was attacking my old guy, my hound.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 3 times he attacked him, and all over food. So one day I left the house, and I heard them fighting in the house, and I yelled at them, and they still didn't stop, and I yelled at them again, and they stopped, and I didn't think anything of it, and I went to baseball. And I came back, and the house was covered with blood. Oof. He had just torn apart my hound.
Oof.
So as much as I didn't want to do it, I was going to take him to the pound. Mm-hmm. I was so bullshit that I was going to take him to the pound. And then I looked at him like he can't help it. He's just a dog, And if I take him to the pound, they're going to put him to sleep. So a friend of mine has him right now. We're still trying to find him a permanent home, but she's taking care of him for now.
Okay. All right.
He's actually a sweet dog. I don't think he can be in a house with other dogs.
Yeah, he has to be the dominant.
Yeah.
Yeah. One question I had back when you worked with us, are you still a fan of Obamacare? I know you had it at one point when you were with the contracting company.
I never had it. No.
No, you never had it.
No. I had a friend up in Massachusetts who did it when it was Romney Care, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
And she said it changed her life. And it's been very successful in Massachusetts. And from everything that I read out of the mainstream, like if you can find something that's not slanted one way or the other,
right,
is it's actually starting to do what they claim it was going to do. I still see the right side of it. Well, you can't afford to even buy what the government's offering you, and so now you have to pay a fine. I still disagree with that. I still don't think that's great. But I think my argument for it is we needed some sort of change, and maybe this isn't the exact change we need, but maybe it's a step in the right direction. It still needs to be worked on. I don't know if getting rid of it is the answer rather than trying to fix it.
Yeah, my issue with it isn't necessarily what they were trying to do. Again, they had good intentions, but the way they did it, the way they shoved it, they effectively did shove it down everybody's throat.
They did shove it down everybody's throat, and being someone who does not want government. If I'm going to sit here and say I don't want government in my bedroom, I don't want government in my uterus, well, I don't want government in that aspect either. And I agree with the libertarians on that, in that perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think
we needed some sort of national health care. I'm not so sure how to go about it.
Well, they had Medicaid and Medicare.
Well, they still do.
And
you know what? In fairness, Medicare and Medicaid, the people fought that the way they're fighting Obamacare. They fought that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know how much younger you are than me if you remember that, but I remember that battle.
No, I don't remember that.
It was just as vivid as this battle,
right?
And now Medicare, and they're accepted and they're working and they're doing great, So
yeah, I think on that particular aspect, I think they could have legislated a little more, because I do like the fact that there's no more pre-existing conditions.
That's
that's
huge.
huge. Absolutely.
And I would hate to see that go away.
Right.
Being someone who has a pre-existing condition.
Right.
I mean, I would hate to see that go away.
But at the same time, why can't they just write that into the legislature that if you're going to run an insurance company,
because they don't work together.
Well, I actually think the insurance companies helped write the bill.
Oh no, I know they did.
So they're just going to write it for their profit.
Yeah, they're still. It didn't. I don't think it did what it. Crap, my battery's starting to run low. Let me plug myself in here.
Yeah.
I don't think it did what it was supposed to do in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't curbed the health insurance companies from making millions of dollars.
Right.
They shouldn't be. It shouldn't be for profit, but that's just my opinion. I don't think healthcare should be for profit.
Yeah, I have a bit of an issue with that being an EMS. Because people are so worried about the bill, and it's.
Yep.
I'm not here to worry about the bill. I'm here to help you get better.
And people shouldn't be, when it comes, we sit there and talk a good game, well, people's lives come first. Well, no. I know lots of people who don't go get health care because they don't have the money to do it.
Yeah.
And like I said, something had to be done. And whether or not this turns out to be what needed to be done, I don't know. But I just hate that the right has been fighting so hard to get rid of it instead of saying, well, all right, this is what's broken. Let's fix what's broken. Let's not just roll it all the way back. Let's kind of fix what's broken. Again, it's kind of like meeting in the middle. It just seems like none of them can meet in the middle.
Well, yeah, it's one of those. I think they're fighting so hard against it because the other side is pushing it so hard for it.
Yeah, and I'm just so sick of partisan politics. I'm just sick of it.
Yeah, that's one of the issues
because they fight with each other and we lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and that's basically, and they won't talk. They won't talk to each other. They won't talk to us. They're just looking for their next. So
I got a question for you.
Sure.
I've been getting this guy that I told you about, my friend of 43 years. The reason why we're no longer talking is because up on my Facebook, I will post just about every poor behaved cop I see.
Uh-huh.
I will post. And I know you and I have talked about this before. What did you think about that guy, the last one there with the 14-year-old girl?
At first, I was enraged. Just because I didn't know the whole story. And what I was enraged at was the fact that he pulled his gun. Because all I saw was him grabbing someone, and he had his gun out. That's all I saw. Mm-hmm. As you know, it seems like that's the first thing they do for if there's any problems whatsoever. They draw. And if you watch the whole video, the reason he drew was because some other kids were coming at him or at her.
Two kids came up behind him.
Right.
I don't think they touched him.
Well,
I personally.
Well, again,
I understand why he drew his gun. I would prefer that he didn't draw his gun. I felt that he was a little rough with her.
Right, but at the same time, okay, when it comes down to it, after learning everything and letting the dust settle, I think he was probably right to draw the gun. Just because he didn't know what was going on. Yeah,
like I said, I have no problem with him drawing the gun. Those kids came up behind him. You don't come up behind a cop.
Absolutely.
You don't come up behind a police officer.
They're like horses,
Yeah. I also understand why the kids did it, because he was rough handling that girl. But they're kids, and they should know that they can't grab a cop.
Well, yeah. And you know me, I'm not trying to give any cops a pass.
I know.
I honestly don't have a problem with the way he handled her at first, putting her on the ground. Because, again, they come into the situation, they don't necessarily...
Well, what did she do that required him to put her on the... She was mouthing off to him, so have
She was mouthing off, she wasn't listening. She wasn't listening.
But she's a kid.
But
you're a trained police officer.
If you're an adult and you don't listen to the cops, they're going to tase you. They're going to take you down. Yeah, was he rough with her?
I don't know. I just think I've always heard the term, and I don't know how true it is, that a police officer's peace cannot be breached. Meaning you can say whatever you want to a cop as long as you don't threaten him. I can say to a cop, "Fuck you."
Absolutely.
He cannot arrest me for that. He might find another reason to arrest me, but he cannot arrest me first. So for me, yeah, she was a punk. The kid was a punk. Mm-hmm. You're a police officer, an adult. So what if she's talking to you like that? Just ignore her. Go about what, like the other cops weren't, I don't know, it seemed like the other 11 cops there or 10 cops there weren't doing what he was doing. He just seemed a little, like he did that stupid tactical roll. I don't know if he fell on purpose or...
I'm thinking he kind of fell accidentally and he was a little pissed off. That's what I'm thinking
too, and I think that's what pissed him off to begin with, is he was embarrassed.
Right. I don't know
I mean, I think he resigned though, didn't he?
He did. Now whether that was right or not, I don't know. Because when it comes down to it, was it sketchy? Yeah, but again, I think it was definitely more justified than a lot of the other crap that was going on. You know, he didn't choke and kill her.
No,
You know?
that's true.
He didn't accidentally. You know,
he didn't shoot her in the back and drop a piece by her foot and then pick it up. No, I absolutely agreed. I think of all the incidents that have been out there about police officers, he was the least that deserved to lose his job.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's there's a lot more cameras out there for sure. What you're seeing, like up in Baltimore now, people are complaining that they're not enforcing any of the laws because and the union comes in and says, well, they're afraid of doing anything wrong.
Yeah,
and it's not that people don't want cops around; it's that people don't want dick cops around. If you're going to be around, don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with, this is going to sound terrible, I know, but it's the lack of education police officers have. Most of them only have high school degrees.
The
reason why I say that is like when I went to community college for 2 years while I was in the Air Force.
Okay.
And I had to take psychology and sociology, and I learned things in those two classes that taught me about cultural differences and ways to handle conflict, conflict resolution. And someone right out of high school doesn't have any of those skills. And either the cops should get that training through the police department, or they should be required to have at least an associate's degree so that they have some experience with the world.
Right. And, well, I know for a fact they go through. Well, it's not the same conflict resolution that your HR department tells you to go through, but they do learn de-escalation procedures. They do learn, but they also learn how to take control of a situation.
Yeah. But it seems to me that a lot of them choose that take control. For me, if I was ever a cop and I thought about being a cop, I would try to do everything I could do to avoid conflict.
You would think.
And I think most cops are like that, but there seems to be this bully mentality in many of them that scares the shit out of me. Well,
they're definitely a lot quicker to draw. Say in the last 20 years, even I remember.
Well, their life is more threatened. I get that. I dig that, and it's a hard job. I'm not.
Yeah, it's a crappy job, but they also know it going into it,
and they choose it.
And a lot of them coming out are coming in from the armed forces. In the armed forces, especially if you've been deployed, it literally is us versus them.
Yeah. And
so they bring that mentality back, and the guys who weren't necessarily deployed or in the armed forces, they get the same mentality because, hey, this guy looks good in black and a tactical jacket, and he wants to be Rambo and Tackleberry.
Right. And
Now, I can say that from the outside very easily, just because I don't know and I haven't been there. I can tell you that I've never had well, there was one state trooper in Virginia who was a dick, but state troopers, never had a problem with them.
No, most of them, you know why? Because they go through a lot more. My dad was a state trooper, and they go through a lot more training, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think in this state you have to have a degree.
Yeah, they go through a lot more training. Their boot camp is a lot longer, and the actual trainings that they go on outside of that is more significant, I believe.
Right. Yeah, and
also on the other side of that, I don't think that they run into as much. They're pulling people over for the most part. They're not like running a beat in a city.
Right. Well, yeah. That also comes back to being a dick, I think. I break the law every time I go to work and every time I come back. Straight up. I'll hit, it's a 65 zone. I'll set it to 73. Set cruise control to 73. Because it's breaking the law just enough not to inconvenience them to pull me over.
Yeah. I just got about 3 or 4 months ago, I got a reckless.
Uh-oh.
So I've been driving, and that cop was a dick. He
it was a county cop?
You know how he pulled me over? He pulled off the side of the road right in front of me. I had to slam on my brakes. I pull over, and he comes up, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He goes, well, you were speeding. I said, I understand that, sir. I said, but you can't pull in front of me and make me slam on my brakes. If there was someone behind me, he would have ran right into me. He goes, so he said, you're trying to tell me how to do my job? I said, I'm just telling you, my father was a state trooper, and I know that's not how you pull somebody over. And so, of course, I was going to get a ticket. I was going to get a ticket either way. I was doing like 84, and I don't have any problem with that. It was the way he pulled me over. It was asinine. Wait till I go by. I was slowing down because I saw him. Wait for me to go by, pull out behind me, snap on your lights.
Mm-hmm.
You don't pull out. If I'm going as fast as you think I'm going, you don't pull out in front of me. Like,
Yeah.
I just felt what he did was just as reckless as what I did.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you go on Amazon, you get a dash cam for $20 or $60. I had one put in about a year ago.
Yeah, so, I remember. I saw yours.
Yeah.
I saw yours.
Yeah.
Although even nowadays things get recorded and it doesn't.
Well, if you record it, it's your property.
No. Well, they do try that. There's been the people at scenes of events where they're videotaping and the cops are demanding them to give their cell phones over.
Do you have any questions for the straight white guy in the room?
Straight white guy. Why you gotta be so?
Well, I'm only half white, so.
Really, what's your other half?
I'm half black.
Are you half black?
Yeah.
So then you're black because it's the 3/10 rule or something like that?
No. I'm half black from the waist down.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like that, is it?
No, I'm Irish. I got the Irish curse.
I always wondered why you walk so funny.
Well, it's a swagger. It's a G thing. You wouldn't understand.
That's like Eddie Murphy used to say. He said that's why black people walk all fucked up because their penis is so big. He goes, every brother that you see in a wheelchair is not crippled.
All right.
That's when Eddie Murphy was funny.
Yeah. Well, if you go back and listen to some of his stuff, it is so homophobic.
Oh, totally. He was a big homophobe, but it was accepted in the 80s.
Well, am I allowed to laugh at that now if I played that?
Oh my God, I laugh at Delirious. It's hilarious.
Okay.
I mean, it's funny. It's funny. Okay. He goes, I'll go out and I'll play basketball with some guys, and then we'll go out and we'll have a beer afterwards. And and then after the game, I'll say, we're going to go get some beers. And he goes, well, I'm going to go suck some dick. And I'll be like, you go suck that dick. I'm going to go have some beers. He goes, but they're all right to hang out with.
Well, I was referring to Raw, I guess.
Raw was brutal, but he was in a very angry place when he did Raw.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
but he kind of settled down. You don't hear much from him since he got caught with that transvestite.
Yeah, he was just giving her a ride. He was just giving the transvestite a ride. That's all.
Yeah, well, transvestite's a whole different issue. Dressed as a woman. Yeah, most of them are straight. But anyways, all right, man. Well, I hope you got something you can use.